Hey there, and welcome to Rob's Custom Woodshop. My name's Rob, and today I'm going to be... Hold on.
Message from Mom. Don't forget Mother's Day is this weekend.
Change of plans. Today I'm going to be making a Mother's Day present. Now to make this project, I'm going to be using the material from a wooden play structure that my kids have used and has been in my backyard for the past 12 years. To start this build, I'm sawing some of the 2x material exactly in half. To accomplish this, what I do is I run it through just a shade smaller than exactly center. Then I run my offcut through, making them exactly the same width. Once I have all my pieces to width, I move over to the miter saw. The first thing I do is cut off the end pieces to get rid of any checks or cracks caused by being outside for such a long time. Next, using a clamp and a piece of cutoff, I set it up against my fence to get repeatable cuts. Then, with all my pieces cut to length, I lay them out and mark the location and the sides that I want the half laps to be cut out of. After installing my 1/2-inch dado stack, I run a few test pieces through to get the exact center, and then I start to hog out the material for all my half laps. Just a couple of things to note when I'm cutting half laps. First, I always use a board clamped against my fence to prevent the piece from being trapped between the fence and the blade. And second, I'm using a backer board attached to my miter gauge to help prevent tear out. Once all the half laps are cut, I do a quick dry assembly before disassembling it and starting with the glue up. Because this is going to be exposed to the elements, I'm using Titebond 3 for the glue up, as well as 2" and 1/4 brad nails in each half lap. I'm not sure if you can see or not, but as I add the brad nails, I'm toenailing them in on opposite angles to help add mechanical strength to each joint to keep it from coming apart. Once the first one is assembled, I assemble the second one directly on top to keep them exactly the same. Then I break out my pocket hole jig. I drill 2 holes in each end of all these pieces. Then using pocket hole screws, I attach 8 out of these 10 pieces I made to one side of the frame, and then I flip that frame on top of the second frame and secure it down with pocket hole screws as well. Since all the height is not needed in this box, I measure 6 inches down to install a cleat to lay my false bottom on, and then in the center I measure down to what will be about 1 inch deeper than the outsides, creating a low spot for water to drain to. With both cleats installed, I can move to the miter saw where I set a stop and start cutting all the slats for my false bottom. To attach the false bottom to the cleat, I'm just using 1 screw on each end of the pieces, making sure to pre-drill before I screw. Now as a liner, to keep the moisture away from the wood, I'm going to use this aluminum flashing. I give the sides a quick bend by hand before trying to install it in the box. From this experience, I learned something about bending metal into shape, and that is, I'm not really good at it, but with some time and patience, I did what I'm going to call acceptable. I used a little bit less than a lot of silicone to fill the corners in. After running a bead of silicone around the top, I installed a piece of drip edge which I formed to fit the opening, and that worked out a lot better than forming the aluminum flashing. With that done, I can finally install the last 2 spreader pieces with pocket hole screws. Now back at the miter saw, with the stop set up, I start cutting all the slats to go around the outside. Now once they're all cut, I start the fun job of sanding all the sides and edge, just with 80 grit though, just enough to clean them up. To attach these slats to the frames, I'm going to use ringed finishing nails, and to prevent splitting in the wood, I made up a quick jig on the drill press to make all my holes in the exact same spot on every piece. Before attaching the slats to the frame, I went ahead and I stained all the sides of the slats, and since I had the stain out and the gloves on, I went ahead and stained the whole frame as well. Now since I think a person may get too used to having a brad nailer and forget how to swing a hammer, I went ahead and drove these 1 1/4 ringed finishing nails in by hand. And no, your eyes don't deceive you. I did not cut enough slats, so I had to stain them on the fly. So as a way of hiding these pocket hole screws, I simply brad nail on some of these 1/4 inch slats. Then to make the tops, I use pocket hole screws to keep my edges aligned. For the ends, I only have to make a U shape, but for the top, I make a rectangle to cover all the edges. And just in case anyone was wondering, I'm using those fancy blue outdoor screws. After putting a bead of silicone around the top edge, I place the top on, and then I countersink, and using some 2-inch deck screws, I attach it. Now when driving the screw in, I was really careful not to sink the screw head down below the surface to create a place for moisture to lay. After the top was all installed, I give everything a quick sand just to get rid of any marks. And then you guessed it, I stained the whole thing again. This build was inspired by a collaboration done by Graft Woodshop, 4321 Woodworking, and Friday Workshop. The link to those videos will be in the description below. And now all that's left is to go deliver it. Do you have any questions or suggestions on how I could have made this project better? Leave a comment down below. If you liked this video, please hammer that thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of my videos, don't forget to subscribe and ring that little notification bell so you never miss when I upload new videos. Thanks for watching and hope to see you on the next project. And just in case I forgot, Happy Mother's Day.